Dead jeans! 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 Yeah.
Welcome, everybody.
Woo!
Nice work, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to compose that little number?
I've been working on that one off and on for a number of weeks now. That was just off the top of my head, if you believe it.
Fantastic.
I know. I'm a little bit of a prodigy, a guitar prodigy.
Well done, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. This
is
that
the
was
very
fun.
first time
first
we've
theme
unveiled.
song.
Yeah, we've been improvising them up until now, but now we're improvising them
Okay.
with our guitars. Ready? Oh, yeah, yep.
Oh, Jesus. What do you do with these beers before you bring them over? I feel like, oh, God, I've never seen a beer gush that much.
I have to, well, you have to
shake
molest
them
them a little bit.
Make them extra gushy?
Exactly. Who doesn't love a gushy beer?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, it's a good thing that this carpet out in the garage has been here since 1972.
Yes. If this
We don't,
carpet could...
If this carpet could talk. There used to be, the guy who owns this house used to have teach kung fu lessons to the neighborhood children out here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Is that why? That explains actually some of the decor around here. You can't see it, listening audience, but we've got a carnival-esque curtain, blue tarp above us, and the smell of defeat all around. I feel like there were some children who learned they were never going to be champions in this room.
I think so. They got their legs swept. And then we have, interestingly enough, a picture of the Star Search cast. From 1982, I would assume.
God, that is fantastic. And Ed McMahon looks like $1 million in that picture.
Yeah, he was looking good. I believe he's looking dead now, right?
Have you? Yes, you'd say, God rest him. Have you ever seen the footage of him on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, having had a few? Like clearly, like shit canned.
Really?
On national television, and it's clear to everybody, except for
discussed?
him. It's sort of discussed around. Carson does some great Carson foo with it, and it is delicious. It's very, very funny. Worth a look. But it's like it's the very rare person above 40 who's visibly drunk.
Right.
That is adorable. That is incredibly hard to pull off.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's a sad thing to be drunk.
Especially over 40.
Yeah.
And I'm staring that in the face. This coming September 20th is the last day I can ever be visibly drunk.
Wow, I didn't know that. You're that close to 40.
Yeah.
Well, I'm right behind you. April, I will be following in your footsteps.
Oh, welcome.
It's weird being 40 and having such young children. Like, I remember when I was a kid, and my parents were a little bit older, but I remember, like, when friends' parents would turn 40, and it was a big to-do. Like, lordy, lordy, look who's 40. You know, they put it up on the marquee at the Clio movie theater or whatever. And
but this was back in caveman times when no one lived to 40.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, that was a big step. If you made it to 40, then that meant you were going to be a tribe elder soon. And...
It does seem like there has been a transposition of 10, 15, or 20 years. Yesterday I was at the Huntington Gardens.
Yes,
and I was waiting in line.
Place.
Oh, it was wonderful. I can't believe that is in the United States.
I know, it's so beautiful.
It's like southern Utah in that way.
Okay.
I can't believe southern Utah is in the United States.
Are you a Mormon?
Yes. Have I mentioned that yet?
No, but that's fine.
By the way, are you guys open-minded?
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you need a new sister wife?
Yeah, if it's cool.
Okay.
That's how okay, great.
Yeah, keep
so
going.
I'm at the Huntington,
yes.
And there's a place you can get expensive sandwiches that were made weeks ago.
Okay.
They're paninis, and the invention of the panini was for sandwiches that were made weeks ago in another state that feel like they were just made because they unwrap them from the cellophane and they stick them in the fancy waffle iron for sandwiches.
Right.
And then you're like, it's a panini, it has an Italian name, and all, you know. So, but I'm standing behind a woman And she's like, "Oh, can I eat portobello panini? Can the cheese be on the side? And then can you?" And she's like pulls a whole when Harry met Sally,
Okay.
and the line is already incredibly slow, and everyone's super mad at her, and she's accommodating some fucking vegan grandchild of hers or something like that.
Okay.
And so she becomes like persona non grata. I come back to my table, and I was like, "Guys, there was a middle-aged woman in there who just took forever to order," and my next door neighbor Emily was like, "Brendan, we are middle-aged. How old is this woman you're talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, she was like 40. There she is now." And she was like, "Brendan, that woman is 65.
Oh my god.
And I was like, "Holy shit, you're right." Because she's my parents' age.
Wow. Yeah, they're just stuck in eternal one age.
Yes.
Eternal middle age.
But that's us now.
Yeah, I know. And our parents are old. Like,
Wow.
and my parents don't. I feel like my parents are in relatively good shape. Like, when I see them, I don't think, wow, you're old people.
Right.
But they may be doing a lot of grimacing, like, that I'm not noticing.
The joints.
Yeah, I'm like, let's walk through the 7 miles through the LA Zoo, and they're like, yeah, okay, and then by the end of the day, you know, they might be like, yeah, we're gonna go to bed.
Oh man.
Like, oh, you're tired? No, didn't get enough sleep last night, and they're like, no, we're 75 years old.
Wow, it's really incredible. See,
Yeah.
my father-in-law throws off this whole metric because that dude is a fitness hound, and we all got this. We have this scale where you stand on and it electrocutes you and gives you all these numbers about what in horrible shape you are, and everyone's like, you know, their real age based on the fat and their height or whatever is like 10 years older than them.
Sure.
He gets on. He is as a person like 68. It says he's 17 years old and he has like 4.5% body fat.
Jesus.
It doesn't make any sense.
Who is this guy? Charles Atlas?
Yep. Yeah.
He's your father-in-law?
Yeah, my father-in-law.
Oh, okay. So Emily's dad.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Hank.
What's his deal? Is he just one of those guys?
He apparently looked like... Emily is fond of saying that he looked like me.
That's nice.
When he was in his 40s.
Right.
I'm not sure what that means exactly, but I know that me is in scare quotes. And then something happened. He was just like... He was saying we were on a camping trip and a long-ass hike, and he was like, my doctor told me I shouldn't lose any more weight. And
wow.
I was like... And he said, this is him talking, and I was like, I can give you a couple more pounds, doc. Just a couple more, because he's got so much swag. It's incredible.
Wow. Is he? But he's in shape. You're saying he's not just skinny.
He has a 6-pack.
Oh wow.
And it's crazy.
But what does he do? Is I guess my question. Like, is he
Organizes for democracy.
Does he run? Is he?
He also runs.
Exercise?
Yeah, and he swims.
Oh, okay.
So
he
bikes.
exercises. He doesn't just organize. That's not. You don't lose weight organizing.
Oh, that's true. David Axelrod is a lover of snacks.
Yeah.
One of my heroes.
Speaking of 6-pack abs and old people, nope, don't have it. Lost the train of thought. Not even gonna follow that. No, but speaking of people in line in front of you acting annoyingly, I was at the zoo a couple of days ago. My sister came into town with her kids, and we were waiting in line to get ice cream. And this is like a line. It's brutally hot here right now in LA. This line was like 10 people deep. We get up to the window. The woman in front of us gets up to the window, and she's like just then decides to start looking at the menu.
Oh.
And she says, "Let's see, what flavors of smoothie do you have?" And there's a small and a large on the sign. She says, "I'll take a medium."
Oh.
I'm like, you've been standing in this line I've been behind you for at least 15 minutes now. Oh. You couldn't have taken the time.
She was busy Instagramming her feet.
I guess, yeah.
There was a coffee shop when I first was in college or left college. For me, that is a very gray area. There's a coffee shop. I lived in Davis Square, Somerville, Massachusetts, very hip part of town.
Okay.
And there's a coffee shop called the Someday Cafe, and everyone behind the counter was a fucking asshole. and they had all this signage up. And there was one sign I remember. I think the first time I went to order coffee. This is the kind of place where they play really loud death metal just because they fucking hate customers. So they just want them out. And the people that sitting there reading like the newspaper refuse to leave despite the death metal because they're in this crazy like.
So every single person is feeling tense in this place.
Yeah, and caffeinated.
Everyone hates each other. Everyone's tense.
No one's leaving.
Okay.
It's Boston.
Great, yeah.
And so, and they serve like coffee in pint glasses. Like this is like one of those drinks.
Okay.
And there was a sign that said, "The person behind you knows what they want." That's amazing. Which is a great education for a young man that would be standing in queues, ready to order my entire life. I panic in order that I just choose something really quick,
sure,
lest I ever arrive at the counter not knowing.
Well, I mean, New York. I feel like that's like if you go into a bagel place before work and you don't know what you want, like you will get beat up.
You'll be disappeared.
You can't do that shit in New York.
Oh,
LA,
it's
you can
insane.
pull that shit anywhere you go.
I have a closing argument before we move into mommy blogs about turning 40.
Okay.
As we were about to do.
Yes.
This is what I've realized, Jeffrey. Your 20s are about fucking up your personal relationships.
Okay.
Your 30s are about fucking up your career.
Okay.
And your 40s are about fucking up your children.
Oh, wow. That's great. Can you put that on a bumper sticker for me?
I certainly can. This is what I've realized.
I think that's totally true, yes. I feel like I feel like all of those stages I have not quite like followed the plan. Like I feel like I don't know if I fucked up my career in the 30s. I feel like I still didn't have a career in my 30s. I'm still in my 30s. I don't have a career.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
But I feel like most of the world probably would follow that line of thinking. Wait, what was 20s? Fucking up your relationships?
Personal relationships, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love that.
My 20s was wall-to-wall betrayals.
Oh, yeah?
I was on the business end. I was on the hammer end. Like, it was crazy.
Well, like, what do you mean? Like, cheating?
You got your cheating. You got your...
Is that something you would do? I don't see you as a cheater.
I remember standing at several crossroads in my 20s.
Yeah.
And could you repeat the question?
Did you ever fuck another chick?
What?
Sorry.
No, I'm a virgin.
No. Is there any cheating scandals in Brendan Hughes' past?
God, I would love to say there's no blood on the floor, but there may have been some blood on the floor.
That's a really disgusting analogy in this case.
Oh God, you're right. I'm sorry. No, I meant that figuratively. I would love to say that I had a squeaky clean record, and maybe I do.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I didn't realize at that age, which is that you are not cheating on anything. Mm-hmm. Like, you are going to break up with this person.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Why does it even fucking matter? Because I am a loyal motherfucker. I would not do that. I have not done that to people.
Good for you.
But I would get trapped in these like 3 to 5 year relationships with people who I had no compatibility with.
Yep.
And meanwhile be yearning for someone else the entire time not acting on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like the culture of like self-denial, that was my was my relationship motive.
This was the mode that I moved into. I think in college I was something of a rascal. I don't even remember, but I do remember there were some scandals. And I remember being at this. I was
you
at the
went
center.
to college in the 1700s.
I would perfume my calves.
Yeah.
There were some scandals, and I think I was at the center of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember them. But then I moved into the mode that you describe.
Yeah.
And it's always 3 years.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, it's about that. It's about that. 3 fucking years. Like, how many 3-year stints did I spend with people?
Right.
There was no reason for that to be happening.
If you don't get out, we're jumping the gun a little bit because this is going to be part of my unsolicited advice. But if you do not get out of a relationship in 5 weeks, you're in it for 3 years.
That's absolutely true. And there were times. There was one relationship that I knew the morning after the deed happened that I was going to be stuck in this thing for several years.
And yet you wanted out?
I wanted out the morning after. Yeah, I was like, I don't like this, but I'm going to go with it because I got nothing else going on right now.
Right.
And 3 years later, here we are.
And you just think to yourself, wow. You wake up and you're like, God, I'm going to be 27 before I can sort this out.
Right. Yeah.
But it's amazing.
Thank God I've met the girl of my dreams, and everything is lovely now.
And same here.
And let's move into our first segment. On that note.
So, here on Dad Jeans, we
3
like
minutes.
to... what's that?
3 minutes to discuss this.
Oh, fantastic. We have 3 minutes to go.
Okay. Mommy words.
We like to do a survey of what the mommies are talking about. The internet is replete. It is recomfort pleated.
Resplendently
Pleated with mommies talking very seriously about things they take very seriously. If the 21st century has had a new religion, I would say it's parenthood.
Okay.
And there are mommy blogs all over the place with people being very elegiac about this wacky thing we do called parenthood. So I took to the net and found a mommy blog entry called 20 Things I Learned in My First Year as a Mom.
Okay.
I thought I would read you number 3, 5, 11, and 19.
Okay. I think that we can do that in under 2 minutes.
Okay. Number 3, you will buy beautiful artisan baby toys, but the baby would trade them all for an iPhone of her very own.
Okay. Yeah, true. Sure.
Beautiful artisan baby, I don't know. I base all of my purchases for the kid on the cheapest thing I can get away with that will really engage him.
Well, no, but you don't mind lead paint in your toys and stuff like that.
Cures what ails you.
You're fine with that. I have never bought an artisan baby toy for my child.
That sounds a little extreme.
That feels like something that one would do in this day and age.
Yeah.
But more importantly, is that a funny joke? Not really. It's a little hack.
This one of hers?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, your joke. You're a hack.
Oh,
no. Of course, her joke. Yeah. We're criticizing the other people today.
Right, you're right.
Okay.
This is a safe space.
Yeah.
Unless you are here to learn Kung Fu. Then you're going to get your ass kicked.
You're going to get the shit beat out of you by Ed McMahon.
You will Google things you never thought you would Google.
Okay, sure.
That part is kind of true. And here's what's really funny. If you were to type into Google baby 8 and just let it auto-populate, you wouldn't believe the shit.
Wow. Baby 8 is in, not the number 8, is an ATE.
Yeah, ATE.
Yeah.
Oh, the list
What's
that pops
number
up. Cigarette butt.
Really? Yeah. Wow.
Or baby 8 Desitin.
Wow.
Or baby 8 poop. That's always a good one. Baby 8 dog poop. Yeah. All of these things are a one-way ticket to meningitis.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I mean, it's like insane.
Pretty much they all lead to the same link. Meningitis.
It's the meningitis Wikipedia page. Google's like...
Could you Google trick that? Could you like make some kind of scam?
Some sort of Rickroll situation?
Yeah.
God, that'd be delicious.
Okay.
Okay, number 11. It's okay to leave the baby with my husband to get some time to myself, even if it's just coffee and 10 pages of a book.
Okay.
So,
typical husband bashing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the idea, okay, so there's this whole thing I have found. There's this whole trend to see husband, and maybe this is on us husbands, but to see the husband as inept, the ineptitude. To
be fair, I mean, it's the whole like, the white man, like we run the world, and so it's okay. We're at the top. If you're punching up, then you're punching us. And just men in general, I think, when you're a wife, you can punch up, and you can punch up at your husband. But I can't punch down and be like, God, why would I ever leave my child with my wife? That bitch the kid be eating cigarette butts by the end of their time together.
It would be the craziest sentence I ever heard. If you're like, I can't even leave my... Yeah, right? That's a little strange.
Sure.
But this is totally accepted, whereas I would take a certain amount of umbrage.
Yeah. No, it is totally accepted. I feel like that's just our lot in life. There's nothing we can do about it. Except form a men's rights organization.
Ooh, right, and that shit's totally bizarre.
Yeah, exactly.
You
can't make fun of me, it hurts.
MRA, have you heard about this MRA thing on the internets?
Oh, yes.
That's amazing, the MRAs. Men's rights.
Yeah, it's... I think there's a certain percentage of people in this world who... our friend is back! And now, let's go to our segment. Reports from the helicopter.
What's the traffic like on a Sunday here in Atwater Village?
Where were we at? Punching up.
Men's rights.
Men's rights, yeah.
Good points.
There are certain people who, I think... they just can't see beyond themselves, and that is like every single person who would be involved in a men's right organization. It's like you can't make fun of me because I can't see beyond my own face. Understand any impact that I or people who are like me have had on the world.
Context means nothing to me.
Yes, exactly. But at the same time, there is a certain thing, which we will get into another day. Now is perhaps not the time. But there is a certain thing where I recognize that the group of men has privilege in some cases that I, as an individual man, do not get. Like, I have not taken advantage of some of the things that other men would take advantage of, but I am still, like, lumped into this category.
I see what you're saying.
Of the sort of, walking around and crushing on things and not looking where he's going kind of male stereotype.
The way white men drive, don't even get me started.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of bastardy white men out there, but it does suck also to not belong to any sort of minority. Like, I'm at the top. Like, there is some sort of comfort in belonging to having something, like, even if it's so much as, like, being a proud nerd, you're like, I'm a nerd and I can let that flag fly and here are my other nerd brothers, but I have none of that. There's not a group that I feel comfortable belonging to.
And in this case for us, Jeffrey, I think the term goes, sometimes you eat the bear and sometimes the bear eats you.
Okay, I'll accept that.
And in this, the bear eats us.
Yeah.
And we accept that. But here's the thing, though. The ineptitude of fathers, like that whole narrative, I think is a crutch for many fathers to not actually learn how to change a goddamn diaper or, quote-unquote, and I hate this phrase, put the baby down.
Okay.
Whereas if us fellas like us can step up and, like, know a thing or two about parenthood.
Right.
And be like, I can change a goddamn diaper.
Sure.
I can do it with...
Are we changing it actively? Are we changing that out there? Or... we're changing the narrative?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I think many couples by default fall into this, like, the man is even today.
Yeah. No, it's an easy go-to joke. It's an easy go-to gag, like.
Right.
And I think any sitcom you watch, that will be like the focus of, like, a loving dad isn't funny. A dad who has shit all over his fingers and falls down the stairs is, like, hilarious.
And then the whole family gets meningitis.
Yeah,
they're on the meningitis ward.
Exactly.
I will say this about changing a diaper. I don't want to toot my own horn or nothing, but Oscar can take some epic poops, epic, up the back.
Okay.
And Emily, who's extremely frugal, is a like frugal ninja. Uses like 9 wipes. I can do that shit in 2 wipes.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. And do you use the full extent of the wipe? I feel like it's hard for me to get, like, I will use the wipe and then there will be wipe on, like, I can't touch the wipe without getting shit all over my hand, and so therefore I have to get rid of the wipe and use a new wipe.
You got to use the tip of your fingers to gather all this stuff and then lay it flat on top of your own hand, fold it so it lands perfectly along all edges.
Right.
Then use it again, fold it again. It's a delicate ballet.
I will someday watch you wipe your son's ass.
I'm really proud of this.
and learn the technique myself.
It is the
used technique.
I mean, I've been wiping myself for a really long time, and I've got myself down to 1/8 of one sheet every single time. Just kidding.
I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at wiping my own ass.
Whole roll?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I just
use your hand.
Scrape it up as
plunger.
best I can. Okay, moving on. How many numbers do we have left?
Some moments, this is number 19, will be so wonderful you will think, I am living my life's purpose right now.
Okay.
I have to follow this up with one thing, because I am guilty of this. I often feel like I was put on this mother-scratching earth to just stare in this child's face and smile and make him smile back, so I feel like he likes me.
Yes, your obsession with your child has been well documented.
Duly noted. Yes. My friend, a friend of mine, who is an only child, Oscar may wind up an only child.
Okay.
Says to me, she says, Brendan, that's me, don't make your child the only thing you've got going on in the world. Because that's what my mother did. This is her talking.
Yeah.
Because I'm an only child, and it drives me fucking crazy. And she's an adult.
Does that, advice extend to creating a podcast about your child?
Exactly.
Does this count as something else going on?
I know, it's a fantastic question.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had to leave the house today. Put him down for a nap.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I got to get out of here. I got something very important to do, and I guess do a podcast about him.
To talk about him, yeah. So that seems like you've broken through. That's a lesson that he'll have to deal with. He could be crying right now. He could be terrified of the monsters that are going to get him when Daddy is not around, right at this very moment.
I have to go.
Exactly.
And that's the Mommy Blogs.
Oh,
That's
wow. Okay, that was great.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Now, Jeffrey, let's move on to our new segment.
Okay.
By new, I mean right now it's new based on what we've been talking about so far.
Yes.
How have we failed our children this week?
How have we failed our children? I believe you had a good failure story.
Oh, did I ever? Yes.
Can we start with you this week?
Certainly. Okay. There is the whole trope you should read to your children.
Yes.
Did we talk about this last week? This is driving me crazy.
We have never talked about this. I gotta say, my daughter can listen to books for hours.
Okay, my son can listen to books for no time zero.
Okay. I hear that boys are generally dumber than girls. Is that the truth?
I mean, essentially that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So, Oscar is a reticent conversationalist. Mm-hmm. And this has his... and you meet parents all over the place. And this is what sort of drives me nuts, is like, the other parents will be like, yeah, my 9-month-old son just popped off the quadratic equation while nursing. It was adorable.
Right, yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's great, because my son,
is slow.
doesn't point or clap, and is like blah 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 blah.
Right. But he always has such a pleasant smile.
He does. He's a people person.
He's going to be a fantastic Chimbley sweep one day.
He's such a great person.
Yeah.
And he smiles at everybody. He looks you deep in the eye. And when he chooses food, he folds his hands to enjoy each bite.
Lovely.
And it's fucking adorable.
Yeah.
But he has a ton of earwax, and he hates books. And so is there everyone's
is the earwax a symptom of something? Is that have you Googled?
It might
earwax?
be. It might make the world sound like it's underwater. So Emily and I talk like that.
Yeah, well, that's gonna inspire him to pick up conversation.
I know. He's like, "Fuck this." Yeah, exactly. Like these nouns can be smashed together. So why don't I do that instead?
Right. Okay. Sorry. So books. Go.
So the point is, everyone's like, read to your child. He has less than zero interest in books. I try. I pull him onto my lap, and I'm like, let's read Clifford. And he sobs. Because he's desperate to get back to the trucks and the Legos.
Okay.
And so then, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, he needs grit. So I guess I'll just make him sit here while I read to him.
Yeah.
And then other times it breaks my heart because trucks are so much more fun than books. I agree.
Yeah.
And so I'm failing him in that I don't know. I have not figured out how to make him like books.
Have you tried to do it when he's eating? Mm-hmm. When he's a captive audience?
I have.
Okay. And what are the results?
It
he
works.
Will stop eating and leave
but
the
who
table?
has time to do that every time?
I know it's true, and that's a bad pattern. We got into that pattern with Hazel, where she would expect a book every meal, and we had to break that. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So that's a rough one to get into. I feel like this was the case of my nephew who was just visiting. He never liked to read books. Now he's starting to read by himself, and he is into reading. So I think that's something that goes away, maybe.
I have a theory about us Hughes men, and my theory is this: we learn
you
things.
Have ADHD?
Well, yes,
okay.
That's definitely true. Also, we learn things slow but deep. We have very slow moving yet tsunami like brainwaves.
You retain knowledge. I'm always very. I admire you for that. I feel like you remember things. I don't know things. I think I guess I shouldn't. I'm not going to analyze myself, but I just don't know things. I feel like I went to school a long time ago.
To a very good school.
It was a fine school.
It's where they all went in the big chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you want me to write a Lawrence Kasdan-esque coming of age when you're 35 years old. Can you believe those people are much younger than we are now?
I think they were in their 60s in that movie, weren't they?
I would hope so. I feel like Glenn Close has kind of always been pushing 60.
Yeah, roughly.
Glenn Close, she was in that, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't she the one who didn't wanted to have a baby and
Yeah,
so she was just
and
trying
then
to have
she
sex
cried
with
in
everyone?
the shower. No, that was the other one.
Oh, okay.
Glenn Close went to bed early and then cried in the shower.
Oh, I don't remember. I've actually only seen The Big Chill once. But, I mean, it was like their 10-year reunion, right? Like something like that?
No, their friend Kevin Costner died. Oh, but Kevin Costner was in it, but he never appeared. They cut
right,
all the
just
scenes.
the
He's in all these
body.
flashbacks. Yeah,
It was
exactly.
the body. I believe we saw his face in the first scene. Right?
No, not even his face, just his wrists
Okay.
slit and then sewn up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that The Big Chill.
But you went to a good school.
I went to a good, a fine school, a decent school. Not as good as you, Mr. Ivy Laker.
You mean UMass Boston?
Yeah,
Higher
yeah,
learning's
that
best kept secret.
Yeah. You have a Pixie song written about you. We do not.
That's true.
And I just don't remember. I remember nothing. I learned because I learned how to think in college. Like I didn't learn things. I've never been good at learning things.
Trivia.
I am good at. I'm not bad at trivia. If it's something I care about, like indie rock or music or movies, which are like actually the only two things that I know anything about. I do retain that knowledge. But no, I don't know anything about the world or like history or Gooey Ducks or anything like that.
Wait, now Gooey Ducks. Let's double click on that.
I was just showing. My sister was here, as I have said probably 7 times already.
What's going on?
Oh, sorry. I'm just having a situation. My sister was here, and she goes. Her father and mother-in-law have a annual clam bake situation happening, and on the coast of Washington, and they dig up gooey ducks. Do you know these things?
Are they submerged ducks?
They're it's spelled Geoducks, but it's pronounced Gooey Ducks.
Oh.
And it is some sort of a mussel, like some sort of a what is that? What's that class for? See, these are things that
mollusk.
I should know. It's a mollusk of some sort. Mm-hmm. But the shell is like this part, and then the rest of it looks like a gigantic penis.
Every time I see that, I want to fucking vomit.
It is hideous.
It's the most disgusting thing.
And they cook them and eat them. These people are savages.
And this,
yes.
And this word is the equivalent of quahog in the northeastern United States.
Right, yeah, exactly. A word that you would not ever think was pronounced that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the Gooey Ducks. But what is this leading to? We don't know anything.
Oh, knowing shit. Oh, we were talking about my son, how I failed my son. Anyway, so this is how I'm failing my son.
How your son is not reading, or you're not reading to your son because he hates books and he hates you.
There was a brief period where he would get out a book and flip through it, always upside down.
Yeah.
That's a clue.
Adorable. Yeah.
Literally always upside down. And if you show him the book, he will turn it upside down so he can feel more comfortable with it.
Are his eyes upside down?
Exactly. I had a friend. This happens to dogs. When dogs get to a certain age, certain dogs, their brain stops flipping their vision for them. Because as we all know, when the light hits the rods and cones, it's upside down.
Yeah.
And our brain then does us a favor by flipping it back over again. So that gravity works the way it's supposed to.
So dogs think you're walking on the ceiling all the time?
Yeah, and then they're like pea puddles on the ceiling.
Oh, how disorienting.
I can't even imagine.
So
Poor
that
dogs.
could be happening with Oscar.
He handles it very well, if that's true.
Yeah.
It would actually explain a lot because the way he falls, it seems like he's falling up. Then he's surprised. He seems surprised that he's on the ground.
Does he look down every time you come in the room?
Exactly. Hello, Father.
Look down at your face.
Right. It's like, I hope I don't shrink to that height when I'm your age.
Well, I'm sorry your child's a mutant. It sounds like he's going to have a lot of trouble later in his life.
Oh, and there's one other thing, one tiny thing.
That you failed him with?
Yeah, that I failed. Way I fail him. When he needs water or has dropped his pacifier out of his crib at night, sometimes we have to go in and just hand something back to him because he has a habit of chucking things out of his bed that he actually wants.
He'll cry or
he'll make whine. Noise, and then we have to go and and then he goes right back to sleep when we go in there.
Okay.
And we're big believers in don't pick him up, don't coax him to sleep, just hand him the thing and be a businesslike about it after it. We all have a job. His is to go to goddamn sleep.
Right. You're not there to play, or you're not his friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But unbeknownst to my wife, every time I go in there to hand something back to him, if he's even mildly awake, I stare deep in his eyes and have a moment with him.
Oh, okay.
and it wakes him all the way back up.
Oh. Okay.
Then I leave, and he cries.
Does your wife notice this happening, or is
she has no idea this is going on? She doesn't know.
Ah.
And then he cries, and then eventually he falls back asleep. But
Yeah.
I'm damaging him because I need to connect with him while he's trying to sleep.
Yeah. And then you're leaving at just the right moment when he's like, we're together.
Exactly.
You're like, later.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, here's your pacifier. I'm going to go finish that movie I'm watching with Mom.
I have gotten what I need from you.
Yeah.
Now it is time
So
to deal with it.
you be in this dark room, wide awake.
Wow. Well, that is a good... The pacifier throwing is a good segue into my How I Failed My Daughter.
Let's hear it.
Which is this, pacifiers. My daughter is... how old is she now?
4?
3.5.
Three and a
almost
half.
4. She... you are our doula, which is why I ask you, because...
Your wife was pregnant in
you were there at the
2010. I was there, and I demanded an epidural for everybody. You, me,
You're fair.
but not
I'm
Sarah.
not getting out of here until everyone gets an epidural. Doctor, open up. So it actually goes into the back. But you don't need to open anything. So where was I at? My daughter, pacifiers. My daughter's still using pacifiers.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you in all of the books to take them away before year 1.
Before year 1?
Before they're 1 year old.
Oh,
You're
crap.
supposed to take away their pacifiers. We never had the heart to do it. She loved them,
Uh-huh.
and now they have become her friends. Like, she talks to her pacifiers. She plays with them. She didn't have them. She stopped using them during the day. We would only let her have them for naps and nighttime, and that was fine. And then Eli was born, and I don't know that she reverted, or if we just sort of, like, pushed her to revert. You know, because we were like, she's going to revert and we're going to have to do something. But now she has them all day, every day. And we don't know if we should, like, make a rule about it. If we should just, I don't want to take them away. There's all these, like, tricks. Like, people are like, poke a little hole in the pacifier so that it feels weird in her mouth. But that's just a trick. Like, you're
Right.
doing, like, she's old enough now to know
Right.
what's going on.
That's black ops. That's what the CIA would do.
It's weak, you know? Like, I would rather she used them than I have to pull some trick to, like, make myself feel better. Like, oh, look, she's abandoning them all by herself, because it's not, she's not abandoning them by herself.
Right.
You know?
I just put a bunch of thumbtacks in it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm at, and I know that you had a pacifier until late in your childhood. Am I right?
19.
You were 19?
That's also when I stopped wetting my bed.
Yeah.
So I guess there was a connection.
Yeah.
I had a pacifier till I was 5,
Okay.
and I was, by the way, the same pacifier.
No.
So I had one, and it was, by the time I was 5, putrid and disgusting.
Okay.
And my mom had to mutilate it, and then I found it, and then we both cried for 3 days.
Oh, that's
And today, I am the man I am.
yeah.
So whatever that means for you.
Do you still dream of that pacifier?
All the time, but only in its final form.
Okay.
I don't remember what it felt like in my mouth.
Uh-huh.
I do remember what its dead body looked like.
Do you remember were you old enough to remember the moment when it was decided, or it was just dead, it was just chopped up, like your mom just couldn't take it anymore? And
Yeah, it was, it had the brown, no longer, pleasing looking, like light brown, but like dark brown, nasty, smelly, whatever, that thing, proboscis.
Okay.
Like bonobo nose or whatever.
Right.
And then she, like, somehow yanked that off, and there was this spiked red rubber nub underneath.
Okay.
That was the least inviting looking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
In like a fit of anger, she did this?
Oh, no. It's because she was worried it was going to come out and I would just choke on it. Like, she was worried that it would... the base was cracking.
So it got to a point where it could not be used any longer.
It was time.
She was like, I'm not buying another one.
Right. This is ridiculous. I'm sure we were the talk of the town.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to kindergarten or something. That kind of thing.
Right. Well, that's how I feel right now. I mean, it's very like, it's this thing in her face that's just like, it is our shame and fear and like inability to like make a decision as parents is like right there in her mouth at all times. Every person who sees her sees that, you know?
Other parents. Oh, that's
Other
that's
parents.
my prostate.
That's the timer. I don't know how to put this on. I want to do a timer. The Apple timer is the worst thing.
Oh, tell me about it.
I wanted to put it on a silent timer, so it was just kind of like...
Wait. What would it be like?
when we get to our point, and yeah. But I didn't know how to do that, so we might hear a little song every now and again.
Oh, that's just fine. This
I
is
hope
how
you're
we're
okay
keeping
with
it
that.
on track because we care about your time, listener.
Yeah, but do you have any advice for me real quick about how to deal with my daughter's thing?
First of all, 3 words: fuck other parents.
Yeah, well, okay, granted. Granted.
Wait, did you just hear the Knight Rider drive by just now?
It's better than helicopters.
Of course, like because this is so. I didn't realize the Thunderdome of Judgment that fellow parenting is.
Sure.
It's incredible.
Sure.
But B. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything wholesome like negotiate with your child or like.
Right.
Have a ritualistic burning or be like 1 month to go, 29 days to go or something like that, and she gets a big toy at the end. Like, do you do that? Incentivize?
Well, we don't see my wife and I. This is something that will probably come out in the Dad Genes podcast at some time, at some point. We subscribe to a very specific type of parenting. We have a philosophy, and it involves no rewards and no punishments.
Very interesting. You know what? I am very intrigued by that. I think all of childhood. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I was an acting teacher for 7 years.
Relax your asshole.
Yeah, that was my technique.
Yeah.
Please buy my book from Amazon. Relax your asshole.
Right.
It was a scene study class. So for 7 years, once or even twice a week, I would sort of like look at all these different fictional characters, and it became clear to me that not only do all fictional characters do this, but all people, and this was part of the teaching of this school by this woman who ran the school, is very smart. All we do is repeat or repair our childhoods.
Okay.
That's all we care about. That's all we want to do, right?
Sure.
And the thing for all these fictional characters that was driving all of them, like no matter what fictional character it is, Neo from The Matrix.
Okay. He's one.
There's one. There's one for you.
Frodo could be a fictional character.
Frodo. They are all. It's all about deprivation and reward from their childhood. Okay. I will do this now as an adult because it worked when I was a kid.
Gotcha.
Or I will do this now as an adult because I never got this thing as a kid and I'm on a quest to have it now forever. So what you might be doing with your children, which is wonderful, is allowing them to sidestep this ridiculous massage button that the rest of us spend our lives pressing, hoping that we'll get a different result.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the hopes, is that we can step away from this sort of it's called the power over dynamic, right? Where like in the world you are always up or down. Like you're always, someone has power over you, or you are or you have power over them. And that's how you win.
Status. It's the worst.
Exactly. And that manifests itself in every minute of the day, like in a million different ways.
I feel like we're a tie.
You and I?
Yep.
I'm doing a little better than you. But
that's why I feel like we're a tie.
Exactly. I think you're very good at like deluding yourself, which is admirable. I'm not quite as good at that. But there is no, we're a tie. We're exactly even, 100% even Steven. That's why we're podcasting together. But the idea is the hopes is that she will grow up in a world in which she doesn't feel that, like that.
Yep. Status.
She doesn't. That's not a thing for her. I don't know if that's possible. We may be fooling ourselves, but there's something very exciting to me about the idea of raising someone who doesn't automatically assume that your boss is a better person than you.
Yes.
Like, who is able to look at the situation and be like, that person's an idiot, that person's smart, and not have that sort of hanging over her head.
Oh.
Like, I have to please this person.
Right.
And in conflict, too, especially, which is a huge thing, which I think is, conflict is the root of everything. No one knows how to deal with conflict.
No.
And the few people who do know how to deal with conflict just clean up in life,
For instance,
yes,
people of Italian extraction that I have known growing up, that maybe it's not every Italian person, but the people that I knew were incredible at moving through social situations and bureaucracies.
Okay.
Because of hot blood. I don't even know whatever it is. Like, I feel this way. I'm going to say this thing.
Okay, yeah, just not that fear that like I'm going to ruffle some feathers or someone is going to that guy at the DMV is not going to like me. And somehow that's going to like destroy my life.
Yeah, instead it's like this is annoying me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's out of everybody's system.
Sure.
Or whatever that is.
Well, we should be so lucky. But so the question is then if there's no reward, there's no like we have to make her feel like giving up the passy is the smart thing for her to do. Mm-hmm. And maybe she won't come to that conclusion, and then we have to just deal with like, okay, she'll have a pacifier until she doesn't want to have one anymore.
Oh, right, because you can't pull rank given your
right. Well, yeah, I mean we can, and I do. Like I'm not perfect at this system. Like there are times when I'm just like, shut up, go to bed. I don't say shut up. That's a mean thing to say to your child, but I will imply right, but shut up.
Yeah. You express urgency or something.
It is time. We have to do this thing. We're doing it, and you're gonna cry, and I am okay with that.
And that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I have made a judgment as a parent that this is not going to ruin your life, and therefore I'm going to force you.
And in the long run, more sleep.
Yes, but in our parenting philosophy, that's a no-no. I am doing it wrong.
Oh, interesting.
I can't help myself sometimes. We're all normal humans, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess there's a point at which it becomes like an hour less sleep in order to avoid. It's hard. It's very hard. You're starting to do devil's bargains after a while.
Yes. That's the thing you want to avoid is devil's bargains, and I found that every time I've gotten into them, they're inescapable, that you cannot get out of them. Like anytime I have tried to create some kind of a rewards system, even as simple as a sticker chart, like, oh, you use the potty, you get a sticker. It's like, then they want a sticker for this. Then they want a sticker. It's like children cannot understand the system that we are creating, and it doesn't help. It just adds a layer of complexity when it's just like, just use the potty because you have to shit. Like that's the thing that you need to learn.
I shouldn't have to tell you this.
Exactly. Yes, but so I'll check. We'll check in. We'll check in.
Yeah, I am very curious about this. Emily and I are both third children, and have a tendency to project authority because neither of us had any in our particular families.
Okay.
And as a result, there's a constant power vacuum in our household.
You're projecting authority like at each other, you're saying?
Right, and it's like Harry Potter and
the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah, who's the guy he was always against?
The Prisoner of Azkaban.
The guy with the guy who didn't have a nose. Rafe Fiennes.
Noam
Chomsky. Rafe. Yeah, when Harry Potter and the
Leprechaun
Noam
head?
Chomsky.
What are the guys in...
when they fire the wands at each other and they just like hit
he who shall not be named.
Yeah, Voldemort. That's what it is.
Okay.
When they're firing the wands at each other, it's just like.
Said that out loud.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yeah. I don't know. I've never seen any of those movies. We're talking about movies, right? Because you don't read books.
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, I've seen all the movies. I've read all the books.
Wow. You've read every single Harry Potter book?
I've read every single Harry Potter book. As a grown man, I did it just because I, for 1 second, liked reading.
Yeah.
And liked those books.
I think you just liked those books. You never liked reading. You just liked those books.
But when I would finish those books, I would be like, God, is that what reading's like? Give me another one.
Reading's great.
This reading thing.
Reading is fundamental.
So, anyway, we project onto each other.
Okay.
And we get a lot of not a lot done. And so we get a lot of confusion because the other one has all this weight. Blah, blah, blah. It's a long story. But the point is, you might be really onto something because Emily and I do a lot of projecting authority because of all that kind of stuff you're talking about that you're trying to avoid.
Yes.
And our lives would both be a lot easier if we stopped projecting so much authority onto other people, each other, not ourselves, etc.
So I'm sorry. When you say projecting authority, like you just are waiting for someone to take control.
Yeah.
And you're just like, when you're in the situation, you're working at Rite Aid as you do, and someone comes in and is like, those Band-Aids need to go on that shelf. And you're like, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, to some extent, yeah.
Gotcha.
And isn't that crazy?
Well, as a director, it's crazy.
I know. That's the craziest part. It's all overcompensation.
Yeah. Well, it's like people who stutter are really, and can sing beautifully or can can act amazingly without stuttering, and then they get off stage. Like, that is you in directing.
Yeah.
That is you are when you are performing it, you can do it perfectly.
Right. When I am directing, for some reason I'm completely unafraid of conflict and have no trouble leading people.
Yes.
But when I'm not directing, the opposite of both of those things is true.
When you are not directing, you are directed.
Yeah, desperate to be directed.
Moving on to One Toe in the Cool.
Yes, let's hear what you have going on.
So this is, I was going to bring this up. I thought it was cool, and then I thought maybe it's not cool. Maybe this is actually really uncool, and it is exactly where I should be at my stage in life, and this is parent cool. My sister-in-law works for the LA... Maybe I shouldn't say this, actually.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. A person I know managed to get me...
Consider the bell unrung.
I managed to come across 2 tickets to some concerts coming up. And one of those being Elvis Costello.
Fantastic.
And the other one being the Pixies, Gogol Bordello, and Cat Power.
Oh, my God.
And I received these tickets... and I was so excited, and I was like, this is something I can talk about on the podcast as being One Toe in the Cool. But then I was like, okay, so maybe it's cool to like get free tickets to something. I guess that's cool, like knowing someone who can get you free tickets.
Right.
But are the concerts themselves cool?
Right.
Is it cool to go see Elvis Costello? No, that's what you would expect a 40-year-old gentleman to be doing.
Right, exactly. Is it 1988?
At the Hollywood Bowl on a ticket that costs like $150 probably if one were to buy it. You know,
because it's only people of a certain age that can indeed afford to see these guys.
Exactly.
That is the trick.
And the Pixies. Like, is there anything cool about liking the Pixies?
Dude. I mean, the Pixies are... This is the thing. This is my problem with time and its march. Because the Pixies are the greatest... We can all agree. They're the greatest rock band of all time.
I would agree.
Black Francis has lost a lot of weight, by the way. You'll be shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
I went to see them on the reformed Doolittle tour a couple of years ago.
Me too. Did you see them at the Palladium?
Yes. I believe we were at the same
night.
Jinx. No, we were there one night.
We were sharing an office at that point. I remember we talked about it.
Yes. And Palladium, fantastic sound. I love that
Holy
place.
crap. I'm a little... I think that's the show that actually gave me tinnitus. The tinnitus I suffer from to this day.
Really?
And I know this song, the track. That's it. Oh my God. And you know what it is? Tame. The Pixies, Tame.
I believe you told... Maybe David Dowling told me this, that you were both stoned and you looked at each other and were like, this is the most amazing...
Oh, it was very synergistic, and I should pause here to say that I was in incredible back pain.
Okay.
At the time.
Well, that's why you have a medical marijuana prescription.
Exactly. And Dave Dowling was near. I had to take my medicine, and he was nearby. Anyway, the point is, we go to the Pixies show.
Yes.
And both of us, I've never given two thoughts to the word. I've never given two thoughts to the song Tame.
Yeah.
As a song, it's like, oh yeah, that's the one it's after Debaser, and you're waiting for Wave of Mutilation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, my friends.
It's amazing.
It's the best song on the album, but you have to see it live to know that. And I had that thought.
Yeah.
That sentence occurred to me, and it occurred to Dave at the same time standing next to me. And then our heads turned very slowly, and our bloodshot eyes looked right into each other because we were thinking the exact same thought at the exact same time.
Ooh.
It was really, really weird. And then afterwards, we couldn't hear a thing, couldn't speak. Yeah. So later, as Weird Al Yankovic burst past us, because he was at the concert also.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. I didn't know he was that hip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, he's not hip. That's exactly what Weird Al Yankovic should be doing.
See, this is the thing, right? Of course Weird Al Yankovic was there.
Right. We need to set up the definition of what is cool. Is it something that a 22-year-old would also be doing?
Okay, no. Sorry. Because screw those guys.
Okay, I want to hear the end of the Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, anyway, the rest of it is that Dave and I later on, an hour later, were like, did you have fill-in-the-blank thought about Tame? Yes, this exact thought. And then we looked at each other. We were thinking the same thing. Yes, yeah. Because we were, and I think everyone was thinking that.
Wow.
So listen to Tame again.
Yeah,
but make sure Black Francis is in the room singing it.
Okay, I will. That shouldn't be too hard. But I actually love their new album. I'm the only person I will go on record as saying that I think it is a fantastic addition to the Pixies canon.
Did Kim Deal play bass on it?
Nope. Doesn't matter.
Is it still a Pixies album? Shouldn't she sing her like one song, like Gigantic or?
Nope. Doesn't matter.
Really?
Yep.
Who's playing bass for them now?
I don't know.
Really?
They probably just push a button. No, it's someone. It was a
Pat Smear.
Who was in yeah, just calling Pat Smear. No, it was whoever was someone who was in Hole, maybe Patty Schlemel. I don't know.
Really? It's a lady?
It was Kim Shattuck from the Muffs, and she was. They got rid of her after about 3 weeks.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. And the new one is a boy or a girl?
I don't even know.
See, I feel like the Pixies...
It is a button. It is a bass button.
It's a bass button.
Look, I love the Breeders. I think Kim Deal
yeah.
was a very important part of the Pixies, but she did not write any of the Pixies. She co-wrote Gigantic, maybe. Uh-huh. And the Breeders sound a lot like the Pixies, so clearly she had an influence on them. But I feel like Frank Black and Joey Santiago are the Pixies.
Yeah.
Black Francis
very
and Joey
good.
Santiago.
Or Charles Thompson is his real name.
Yeah, sorry. Charles S. Kittridge Thompson.
Oh, nice. Oh, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Who's cool now?
Not this guy. Should we move on to our next...
Yes, I would like to simply say...
Oh, do you have a cool? Did you do anything cool?
Okay, so I sit in my cubicle sometimes.
As one does.
Right, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, I'm not feeling really cool, so I'm going to listen to Sleigh Bells.
Yeah.
And what I do is I listen to...
The band Sleigh Bells?
Actual Sleigh Bells.
Sleigh Bell music on Spotify.
So when I'm feeling like, God, I'm really losing myself to things that aren't cool, I listen to Sleigh Bells. And I only listen to...
That's good for your tinnitus.
It's great for my tinnitus. It goes away briefly. I listen to their track Road to Hell.
Okay.
And then I listen to the One soundtrack.
Oh.
Or I listen to Van Morrison's Moondance.
Wow. So Sleigh Bells is sort of a reverse palate cleanser.
I guess so. I gotta work on this.
It is the like Moondance is the palate cleanser, but that's sort of the main course for you.
It's all parsley. Yeah, exactly. It's like one thing of awesome garlic and then a mound of parsley.
Right. Yeah, I will have nothing but parsley, and then I'll have one bite of the beef bourguignon, please.
It's so weird. I have nothing cool to report yet again, which is really sad.
Well, I guess it's impressive that you've listened to that. You know who Sleigh Bells are.
I hold on to them. I cling to Sleigh Bells.
Things move so quick. It's
I know.
That's not cool anymore, right?
No.
They had two songs that were cool, and then it took them more than a week to put out their record. So then by the time the record came out, they weren't cool anymore, and then they put out another record. And
I'm personal friends with the lead singer of the band Hospitality, but even that is out the window at this point. No, they're great. Don't get me wrong.
They're kind of an evergreen though, right?
They are.
They've got that sound where it's they're going to keep it going for.
They're going to keep it going. Amber's a genius. They're going to keep it going for a while. But the point is,
it's not new. It's not.
Exactly.
It's like Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah are on their 7th album at this point,
right?
Or whatever.
What would Ezra Pound say?
Ezra Pound or Ezra Koenig?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Falling down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
What's our final segment? Dads.
Great moments in Dad's. Great moments in Dad history.
I don't have anything for this, so this is yours.
I have a little story. This is about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Heard of him?
Who is Austrian, which is next to Germany. They just won the World Cup. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, learned to play piano from his dad, and they had a harpsichord in their living room. And their typical routine, I don't know what the story with the mom was, but she wasn't in the picture. Certainly not in Milos Forman's Amadeus, anyway.
No.
So they would. So Mozart would play piano, and write little concertos and stuff. And his dad taught him, and they had this whole kind of this lovely relationship and communication surrounding the 88s. Their nightly routine, he did his homework for, Viennese elementary school or whatever, and then play the piano. Then they'd have dinner, and then his dad would go to bed, and Mozart would have do a little more performing, play one more concerto before he too would go to bed. But Mozart, knowing his dad was already in bed, yet still listening to him and evaluating his performance, would play a concerto that they would both know because his dad had taught him the piano. And they would go, the concerto would go, meow, 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 meow. And then Mozart would close the lid on the keys and then pack it and go to bed. And his dad, knowing that Mozart had not played the last note, would not be able to stay in bed, would heave himself out of bed and be like, God damn it, and go downstairs, open the piano, meow, and finish the job.
Wow.
Which I think is a wonderful, that is the essence of father-son relationships in the best possible way.
That's a very erudite way to rebel.
I'm
not going to play the final chord.
I'll show you, son. Yeah, exactly. But it's such a delicious... I had a friend named Rachel who had this really funny dad. They were a Jewish family, and her dad they'd be on long car trips, and her dad would be like, "All right, guys, time to play Christian Father. How was the dentist visit?" And they'd be like, "Great, Dad, no cavities," and stuff like that, which is really funny. But anyway, he would say to them, who wants Kit Kats? And they would all have Kit Kats in the back, and the whole family was going to be sharing Kit Kats, and they would each get a bar, but he would hand them the Kit Kat, and they'd bite off the ends of all 4 Kit Kats and hand it back to him. And he'd be like, "Oh, Jesus!" And every single time he would get really upset about it. And he had this great predictable response, just like Amadeus, Mozart's father. Of predictably... He
would have to add the end of the Kit Kat back on.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
He would have to... he would sort of have to get that upset every time.
Right.
Because that was the
game.
That was the game. The dads participate in the game, playing their role.
Oh, yeah.
And the children develop this delicious sense of humor.
They can... children can go for a long time with those games. I can. The other day, we had a friend's daughter over, and I went into. They were playing in Hazel's room, and I walked in, and I said, "Look at it. There's a couple of cocoa nuts in this room," and she just loved that. She's like, "Bah!" And she ran out, and she was like, "Call us cocoa nuts." So I'd go back in the room, and I'd be like, "What? A couple of coconuts?" And they go, "Blah!" And after, it went on a good 10 times. I would have to go back to the room, call them coconuts. And I don't know at what point I'm like, I'm not having fun anymore. It's time for me to stop this game. I don't know how. I'm not one of those guys, I think, who has endless patience. I'm kind of okay, we've done the coconut gag. Let's move on to the next bit.
I know that's true. From us, they get the gag, but they also get the sophistication surrounding the gag.
Well, there's the people who I feel like that's a very dad thing to be to be charged with repeating the gag, you know?
Oh yeah.
You don't want to be the dad who's just always you're just getting it's the same joke every time, and not until the kids are rolling their eyeballs.
Good point. Oh right, and then you start making dad jokes.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to repeat and revise and stay one step ahead of the kid.
Yes, exactly. And is that your advice for this week?
I think that's my advice for this week, dads.
Repeat and revise.
Repeat and revise.
Okay. That's good advice.
Mm-hmm. What's yours?
My advice is don't take your child anywhere or outdoors when the heat index exceeds 1,000% or whatever it is right now.
It's 1,000%.
When it is above 85 degrees is not the day to be traipsing around a zoo. That is my advice. Children will not. They will not rise to the occasion.
The only thing I remember about the LA Zoo is that it is 17 types of goat.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Zoos, is that bad? Should we not be going to zoos?
Yeah, I'm not totally pro zoo.
I am. Betty White is.
Is she?
Everyone loves Betty White.
She's
true. One of the biggest donors to the LA Zoo.
Is she really?
They do animal research and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
But then I see animals in a zoo setting, and it makes me feel sad.
Yeah, those gorillas just sit there and are like, God, this sucks. I'm so muscular.
Yeah.
And I have nothing to do.
I know. We should maybe just throw children in there every once in a while and let them rip them apart.
Yeah, and just see what children do to each other.
That's where we could do the Hunger Games.
That's not a bad idea.
The LA Hunger Games could take place at the zoo, and the person who loses will just chuck them in with the gorillas. And then everyone gets a nice show.
That is not a bad idea. That's very interesting.
And then free ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a terrible idea, probably. So don't, if you work at the LA Zoo and you're listening to this, Don't run that up the flagpole. I don't think it's going to go over
Lest
very well.
anyone salute.
Lest anyone salute. I feel good. Are we at the end of our Dad Gene segment?
I think we're at the end of our Dad Gene segment and at the end of our Boddingtons.
By the way, should we mention that this is a strange Dad Genes because we were unable to do it Wednesday nights, which is when we usually do it. It is Sunday afternoon, and I don't know if the vibe is different. There's something about the sun shining that makes me feel a little. I'm not quite as. I feel like it's a nice treat on a Wednesday night.
It is right, and to do this at nighttime makes it of the devil.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right now it's of the angels, and it feels funny to say naughty things.
It does. It's true. So we'll end with a big fuck you.
Woo! Vaffanculo! That's what they would say in Italy.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for that Italian lesson.
You're welcome.
And that's it. We're out. Dad Genes.
Dad Genes.